Hey guys, I'm Taylor, Dr. Taylor Burrowes if you're new here, and this is my YouTube channel. Welcome. I call it the sweet spot. So today I wanted to talk about this concept. I came across a TikTok of this guy I've been kind of following because he gets my juices flowing. I did a critique of his video today, and I've done another one before. So it's funny because he's got a YouTube channel, but it's sparse. And it gives off the wrong impression about him. I don't know. He kind of looks like a sorry, sad guy in the woods, but I think he's married, and I'm not trying to pass judgment on him, but just looking at, the impression that he gives on his YouTube channel, it's a little bit dreary. And he's giving off this coaching advice to men and how to be masculine and how to have a healthy woman to submit to him and yada, yada. But on TikTok, he blew up instantly. I mean, the guy had like a few posts and he had like a crazy amount of followers already. And his stuff is like very generic, cookie cutter, red pill 101 masculinity stuff. And I get that we need a lot of that, but as the sweet spot representative, I believe in this healthy integration of really trying to calibrate between masculinity and femininity within each of us, so our own polarity is clear, and then we're able to establish that really good sexual polarity with somebody else. But I'm also the sweet spot in my belief systems because I'm not red pill and I'm not blue pill. They used to call me the purple pill, but whatever you want to call me, it's still that sweet spot, and that's because it's less of a reactionary belief system, and it's more about using your critical thinking and a more holistic way to find the nuance and create a better understanding that is more cohesive, taking all things into account. So getting back to this guy's video and what I thought about it, he was saying maybe she's not toxic, maybe she just needs better leadership from you, Mr. Masculine guy. You need to step up. This is what he was saying as a masculinity coach who's trying to be super red pill. I thought it was funny, ironic, because it's almost like the same as the blue pill, Mr. Nice Guy, people pleaser approach where you devote yourself to a woman and make her your prime focus because you need to shape her, but in like a dependent way. So this is the thing. I get part of what he's saying. Part of what he's saying is that not all women are write-offs. Sometimes they're just wounded. They're not perfect. They've got issues just like most people have issues. If you lead her properly, you might be able to get the result that you want. You might be able to bring the best out in her, which is possible. Some women who are wounded can be coachable. But I will attest that women are not as coachable as men are. That's why I don't work with that many women. I work with more men for this particular reason. Not that all the women that I don't work with are toxic, but you have to give the woman or the individual the responsibility to establish their own health. You cannot make someone healthy for them. That's definitely a dependent relationship. The boundaries there are really bad, and you're basically in a position where you're playing hero. You're controlling them. You're shaping them to an extent that is not conducive to a healthy relationship. And some people are just unhinged. Some people are just unstable. They're really wounded and they need help, professional help. You cannot play your partner's therapist. But what I find interesting about what he said was about this, he didn't say this explicitly, but this is what I took from it. You do not need to prove how masculine you are by how well you're able to fix a broken woman. This is the implied tenet, like the implied premise that he's saying, and I find this very disturbing because maybe it's innocuous, but like I find it problematic because for a man, you don't need to prove your masculinity in that way. That's not how you prove you're masculine. Not that you need to prove that you're masculine, but in order to bring out this quality in oneself. Actually, it's more of like a father figure role. So like that patriarch element of being a healthy, masculine, robust man comes from leading a family and having children and being like a mentor in your community. that's how you bring that about. Or like even in the tribal sense, like, you know, the leader in like a tribe, some kind of wise man or whatever, that is someone who is sort of revered in a different way. But in a relationship, that's not the right dynamic to have. But ultimately, going back to the point, you don't need to prove your masculinity by fixing a woman. It's not your fault because she's unstable and maybe she is just toxic. So that's basically my critique of that point. But interestingly enough, something like this came up in my work this week with some clients. And we addressed it even before this whole thing came up. So it just happened to be interesting timing. But this was the pattern that we're seeing emerge in the work this week, or just in general, but we were talking about it this week. I have a client who perpetually picks these projects. Well-intended, but he finds it alluring to put his hand on the fire, right? So these challenges are triggering his hero complex, and also just that like compulsive urge to achieve something really hard to do. But ultimately that's self-sabotage, right? It's the same as a woman going after the emotionally unavailable guy and wanting to fix him, wanting to change him, wanting to be the one that he changes for, right? Neither of these patterns are healthy. So definitely recognize that your tendency to pick someone who is a project, who needs saving or rescuing, speaks to your own ego and what you need in order to feel fulfilled and content without that challenge. Like having a healthy person, or at least someone who's on track to being healthy, that needs little from you, might feel more scary because the less you're needed by them, the less control that you have. So ultimately, this goes back to control. I'm leaving this like an open-ended conversation today, trying to mix things up a little bit. So do tell me below what your thoughts are on this. And if you have any additional questions for me, leave them as well, because I'd love to respond to your questions. And do subscribe to the channel, so click that big red subscribe button below, like the video, and share it with friends. Get the word out. We're trying to grow the channel. We got, I think it's like 1,000 more hours or so that I need in order to get to monetization status, which will be super exciting. And your help is very much appreciated. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Ciao.